Today, we are talking about this, the police gang badge. A lot of forces are actually banning officers wearing this now because of the complaints that they get. And some of the common criticisms are that it's a gang badge, that it forms a us versus them mentality with the public. Some people see it as combative, some people see it as a bastardization of the Union Jack. And there's also the criticism that it isn't standard police issue uniform, so why should somebody be allowed to wear it? So what we're going to do in this video, we're just going to go through all of those different things. I'm going to talk about whether police should be able to wear this or not. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel and, of course, drop a comment. So the first thing I want to talk about is this police issue? The answer is no, it isn't police issue. It isn't part of actually police uniform. When I joined the police, I didn't walk in and I got my handcuffs and my baton. Oh, and by the way, here's your nice thin blue line badge. I had bought this myself. And here's the second one over there. I might move it around throughout the course of the episode to see whether you actually notice it or not. So I thought what I'd do first is I'd go over the history of the thin blue line and its origin. I'd like to tell you that I Googled this, but I didn't. I just asked ChatGPT because ChatGPT is now obviously the new Google. Put my glasses on because without my glasses, I'm fucking blind. The thin blue line patch is quite a layered history. It didn't appear out of nowhere. Its meaning has shifted over time depending on context. The origins actually go back all the way to the Crimean War. The term thin red line was first used to describe red-coated British soldiers of the 93rd Highland Regiment who held their ground against Russian cavalry charge at the Battle of Balaclava in 1854. A Times correspondent coined the phrase, praising the small line of troops for standing firm despite being heavily outnumbered. Oh, and in case you haven't noticed by now, I have actually moved the thin blue line crest from there to there, hey, guys, stop messing about now. This is a serious video for serious people talking about serious things, and I'm a serious kind of guy. Look at me being so fucking serious. Early 20th century, the phrase was later adapted in other contexts, symbolizing the small, disciplined force holding back chaos or destruction. 1950s USA, the American police adopted the color blue associated with police uniforms and recast the term as a thin blue line, representing the police as a barrier between order and disorder or between law abiding and society and criminality. Adoption as a symbol, the 1960s and 70s, the phrase gained cultural traction in the US. A documentary called The Thin Blue Line was made about it. And the patch in the 20th century, the US began wearing the subbed patches, flags, or badges with a thin blue line across a black background. Spread to the UK in the 1990s, 2000s, the symbol was imported to the UK by police circles, particularly through the cultural exchange with US policing and international police solidarity networks. Patch and flag in the UK, the thin blue line is often displayed as a Union Jack with a single blue stripe or as a black and white flag with a blue bar. Patches are worn unofficially on stab vests, kit bags, and morale patches. This video was sponsored by my best-selling police memoir, The Job's Fuck Secret Diary of a Police Officer. After 10 years in the police service, I finally left and I decided I need to speak out. This book does a deep dive into police corruption, the real reason why the police force is falling apart, and things you will never hear in the mainstream media. You can check it out in the link in the description of this video. You could also grab some merchandise and support me on Patreon. And now, without further ado, enjoy the video. So it comes from the 19th century when we was fighting Russia in Crimea. It then got reintroduced as a thin blue line by the Americans, made into a TV show, and then in the 1990s, 2000, British police adopted it. So, okay, so now we have a bit of history behind this symbol. Every day is a school day. I'm so happy we're learning things. Okay, so some of the criticism about officers that wear this patch is that it isn't standard police issue uniform. Surely it would be unprofessional for police to have something in their kit or on their uniform that is not police issue. Whereas, yes, I would agree with you to an extent. There are also plenty of other things which the police carry around with them on a daily basis that are not police issue. Such things like trauma scissors for officers to quickly cut clothing off people. A lot of officers have to buy them themselves. Retractable lanyards with a cuff key on to save officers needing to keep them pulling it out and losing cuff keys. They sometimes have them which can attach to the belt and you just pull it out. I used to have one. It was dead good. Nice, powerful torch, because the torch which you get when you join the police isn't actually very good. But, you know, people who want to go and find missing people who have wandered into the woods and saying that they don't want to be there in the dead of the night when the wind's pouring down and everything else and the rain's going at them, they need a really good, powerful torch. Sometimes, quite often, officers have to buy those torches themselves to be able to, you know, find people who want to hurt themselves effectively and quickly before they sadly don't come back. You can also buy a glass breaker and a seatbelt cutter for when, say, I don't know, maybe somebody's trapped in a car which is going underwater. You need to get that person out as quick as possible. Again, police officers aren't normally issued with equipment like this, but we are very thankful that they have it when we need it. And there's also some police forces that don't even issue boots to the cops. They have to buy it themselves and then like they reimburse them. So I think if you have the argument that you can't wear that patch because it's not standard police issue, your argument kind of falls apart when you say that, okay, trauma scissors, high powered torch, boots in some forces, and glass breakers and seatbelt cutters are okay. In that case, what you're saying is you just don't like the patch because of what it represents rather than because it's not part of the uniform. You know, if you're going to criticize something, at least be consistent about it. The next criticism we often see is that the patch is a bastardization of the Union Jack of the British flag, because of course the thin blue line is on the back of a Union Jack and the Union Jack has been turned black. But the problem is it isn't just the police which do this, and this isn't actually the police that do it. Thin Blue Line is a charity. So we need to now look at what other organizations have bastardizations of the Union Jack or adaptations of the Union Jack, and whether people challenge that as much as they challenge the thin blue line because it's the police. So if we just do a quick Google, we'll do the NHS. We'll see if the NHS have their own version of the Union Jack. So let's have a look. Okay, so they do have their own version. So thank you NHS. This is a adaptation. Blue there. This and that. Loads of different adaptations. Okay, okay. Ah, and that's got the NHS logo on it as well. I don't see many people going into hospitals and shouting at nurses and doctors to remove that emblem or remove that pin or writing to the directors at the hospitals saying what you're doing and your representation of the Union Jack is offensive, therefore you need to remove it straight away. So what about pride? And there we have again, we have a adaptation of the Union Jack via pride because it's all about collectiveness and having people under a singular flag, but it's adapted for a movement and for other people's rights. And there's tons here. And never once have I seen an auditor or someone who finds this very thing offensive going onto a pride parade and shouting at people, screaming that they should remove the flag from their parade because they find it offensive. So, okay, well let's look at another one. Like I said, I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to learn. Okay, now let's have a look at armed forces. Do they do it on the army? Okay, and here we have straight away we have different emblems. We have a armed forces Union Jack right there. We have quite a few of them by the looks of it. Never once have I seen people on Remembrance Day walking up to people who are celebrating and remembering their fallen comrades who gave their life for their service, for their country, to protect people, screaming at them that they find what they're wearing offensive and they should remove it immediately. You really struggle with unwinding after a shift. You walk through the door completely exhausted, crawl into bed, you sit and scroll on your phone, getting annoyed that you have to be up in a few hours for that quick turnaround. Well, I have something that I've created that can help you and it's completely free. Just click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen now to download my free support guide for shift workers. You will also receive daily emails filled with practical advice from mental health, burnout, boundaries with the job, and rest and recuperation. Take back control of your life today and stop letting the job take everything from you. So again, I just don't see the problem. Okay, if you value the flag, that's great, but it isn't against the flag. It's an adaptation of the flag to protect all inside the confines of the flag. It's a Union Jack. It's about supporting people who are from the UK as represented by the flag. The NHS flag and the Pride flag, they're all just adaptations of the same thing. And yet this is the only one which people scream about. And I can't help think that the main motivation behind it isn't to do with the flag. Now you can say that wearing this is a political statement and the police should be apolitical. Totally agree. I don't think that the police should be political in the slightest. Personally, I don't see this as a political symbol. I see this as a form of unity and solidarity and community surrounding the emergency services, in particular the police. This isn't allegiance towards a political party, left wing, right wing, etc. This is saying to other officers, when the rest of the world is running away from danger, we are running towards it. But the issue is, due to complaints from the public, there are several forces who've actually banned officers from wearing this flag, such as the Metropolitan Police, Surrey, and I believe Leicestershire have recently, I might be wrong with Leicestershire, but someone told me it was Leicestershire, who've recently done it. And now, in a time when officer morale is on the floor and we're expecting more and more officers to do more and more with less and less, you would think that having something like a symbol of unity and solidarity amongst police officers would be something that was welcomed, in particular when the patch itself is a emblem of a charity which supports police officers who have suffered bereavement, officers' families who have suffered bereavement, officers who are struggling with the mental health, struggling with the welfare, a support service for officers. You would think that the people in charge of those police forces would turn around to people that complain and say, I'm very sorry. The welfare of my officers and what the Thin Blue Line represents is actually more important than, you know, your ideology towards the police. So rather than the police force in charge say, we actually support officers to wear it. We're going to tell officers that they can't wear it because it upsets a small subsect of the public who actually don't like the police, rather than the vast majority of people who see it and couldn't frankly give a fuck whether a cop's wearing it or not. And frankly, at a time when so many cops are leaving, so many people are leaving the service, and we're really struggling to retain people and actually get them through the front door, and we're facing a real crisis of police exodus, I think the fact that the bosses at the very tops of the organisation who are more interested in public perception and their own pensions rather than taking care of their officers who they're in charge of and look after, I find that they're forcing officers to remove this symbol of unity, respect, and remembrance for the people who gave their lives for the protection of the public. I find their actions and their decisions utterly disgraceful, abhorrent, and reprehensible, and they should resign immediately. But that's all from me. Do you think I'm completely wrong and it is nothing but a gang badge and a symbol of us versus them? Or do you think I'm correct and you agree with everything I just said? I'm always eager to hear people's points of view on this. And if you did enjoy this video, drop a comment what you thought. And while you're at it, why not check out this one right here? YouTube says you're going to love it. See you later.